Greetings, my name's Dwayne, and these are my coat and top hat gnomes using a 6-inch foam cone. Now, in the past, I've done a video where I showed the 4-inch cone. So just to give you an idea of the different sizes here, these were the 4-inch cone. And here I'm using more of a standard cone that you can find at Hobby Lobby, Michael's, Joann's, online, Amazon, any of the craft stores. This is a 2.75 inch on the base by 6 inch, so it's standard, and you can find them in the white or the green on the foam cones there. So they're very standard, easy to find cones. The 4-inch cones are a little bit more that I have to find on Amazon or through Temu. I can get those, or the holiday season, the craft stores carry the 4-inch cones. But I wanted to make something that had something that was very more of a universal. Now, the Dollar Tree, they sell one that's 6.9 inches by 2.9 across the base. So I've designed the pattern a little bit so I can fit either one with little modifications to the coat and the body on the larger Dollar Tree. The Dollar Tree ones, of course, are currently $1.25, so it's cheaper than the craft stores. The craft stores currently are running about $3 for the foam cones. Now you can find them on Amazon, Temu, were a lot better deals. I've gotten them off of Amazon and Temu for like $4 or $5 for a dozen of them. So these are the standard cones. We're going to use them to show you how to make the coat and top hat gnome. We're going to put my friends up here. I'm going to show you just some tricks. A lot of it's going to be the same as with the 4-inch cone. So let me open up one of the packages here. And if you saw the 4-inch cone video, I'm using a body that's just going to cover the body and the base to start out with. And we're going to need a couple different types of fabric here, or you can just use your felt squares. I like to use the wool just because I'm having so much fun with the different character to them, the different designs. And so I'm going to show you some of it, making it with that, but I'm going to start out showing you the felt just to get you going here. You don't have to get more expensive or anything like that. The body itself, I've cut out my pattern, take it, trace it out, and I have my base and body. And we're going to put it together here. And trying to do this just so we got a little bit of speed going here to show you how to get things done here and spend some time on the things we need to. The body I'm going to take, once it's cut out, and fold it over. So I got these little tabs that I've cut out. And this is going to attach to the base. Fold that over, and then that's going to fold down. And I'm doing the side I put my mark on, so I'm not going to see my mark. It's on the inside. Little trick there. And glue it down to the base of the cone. Now I use my glue gun on low temp, just so I'm not burning into the cone. Could also do it along there, along the felt. I'm just going to do it along the base of the cone there. Now, as I said, this was designed for the base of the 2.75. I have had sometimes where I've ordered from Amazon or from Temu, and I get a base that's 2.5, so a little bit smaller. All you have to do is just take your scissors, and if you have extra, just trim around. You still get the same height. I'm not going to sit there and try to rearrange or do another different type of pattern just for that. If it's 2.5, so you got 0.25 difference there. That's the math. Trim it around a little bit. Now, for the larger cone, comes in 2.9 inch. This is the Dollar Tree cone. I did change my pattern a little bit, so I have a bigger body, so it's going to cover going up a little bit more for the length. Also wider on the base there. So I do have the two parts there, and the coat too. The coat I had to make a little bit longer for design to actually fit the 2.9 there. So it's modifying the pattern just a little bit here and there, just to fit your needs there. Start out with the basics and then modify from there. And this is gonna just go on up here. And this is gluing my body to the cone. Now, when I'm doing my gnomes, did the 6-inch cone gnomes, I wanted to have something where I could play a little bit down here. Either put a belt on here or some type of design. I needle felt. I've started out needle felting, having a little bit of fun doing that with gnomes because I wanted to have a little bit something, more of a show, more of something to cover up areas. So I actually needle felted this once I had this on the cone. You can do that. The only thing you need to do is avoid the glue spots. Don't glue heavily where you're going to be doing your needle felting. The needles won't be going through the glue. So I did this afterwards. The other one, my wife did the embroidery for me. And she did that before I glued the body and the base on. Did this nice embroidery here. I'm going to be doing some more stuff, hopefully, that type of thing, just for the fun of it, just to give it, again, just some fun to it. We were looking online, and there's on Facebook a site that I like called How She Felt. She does bears, a lot of bears. She does animals too, but she needle felts. I'm sorry, not needle. She embroiders on the bears, and it was a very cute idea and everything. So going with that idea, my wife embroidered on that, but she embroidered on it before I glued it onto the cone. So you can do different things that way to decorate it beforehand, to put it on there too. A lot of times too, I will put something on afterwards, just as a accessory there. So just showing you some tricks, some little trades, little things that I do to help decorate there. So this is my body and my base. And as I said on my other videos, I do that because I don't need to cover the whole cone with my body. I could save my felt, I could save my material if I'm using either fleece or if I'm using my wool materials. I could save on material by doing it that way. So now I've took my coat, I actually cut out my coat already, and this is on a wool, and I cut it out in a pattern where this is going to have a collar on my coat. And I'm going to lay it in there just the same way as I would covering up a cone. So I'm in the center, and I want to make sure that my coat tails come around, and they're going to come to where that little seam is there. Cover that on both sides, and I'm going to have about a 1/2 inch hanging over on the base there underneath. The collar is going to roll down, and then we're going to glue it on the sides there, but this gives me a backing on the collar. And another nice little thing that I can either decorate along here on the back. It also gives me, when I'm doing the collar, I put the arms up underneath the collar, and I'll show you that in a moment here too. So got that laying in there. I like to glue down the back. Can do that easily, but I'm just going to glue along the side here first, and I'm going to go in a little bit. Going to go in about 1/2 inch, and then stop about 1 inch towards the bottom. Apply just a little bit down here where it's going to come together at the bottom there. And tuck that up there. And the reason I go in about 1/2 inch is so I have space if I want to tuck a belt underneath here, or if I want to put something across the bottom here, just so I have a little bit of area to tuck something in. Now, if you've seen some of my other videos too, where I do a vest, this would be a perfect opportunity before I glue this on to put the vest on here. The vest is just a 2-piece cover here. Going to need to be a little bit longer than what I've done in the vest video there, but just 2 little pieces that go on here to cover as a vest. And we'll do something another time to show that off, because I like the coat and vest look here. I'm going to glue this side on. As I said, the other option is you can glue down the center to start out with. But if I've already got this laying in here, the correct way I want it, I'm not going to pick it up and try to move it. I'm going to glue along my sides there. And again, giving it about a 1/2 inch there and stopping about 1 inch before I get to the bottom there. Bring it around. And there I have my coat. Now, I have had people ask me, well, can you make a coat that closes? Yes, you can. This is actually a 4-inch base down here. If you want to bring that out, bring it out about another 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch, and then make that curve up there. That's going to give you a wider width on the front here and bring the coat together. And I'm giving you a simple pattern to start out with. You modify it how you want to make your gnomes. And I'm going to show you here too with the arms, how I do my arms. The arms are done like the Woodland Wizards. I've liked the curve to the arm there, the way it comes out. But if you're doing arms differently, if you're doing them with the rollers, the curlers from Dollar Tree, or you're doing just the straight across arm and rolling it and stuffing it, that works fine too. Either way works great with that. Goes easy with the coat here too. And let me show you here while I'm talking about the arms. What I like to do, my wife gifted me a number of real nice wools. I like to go with what she calls the salvage, the end of. Here you can see we have a pattern going on up here. But down here, you get into this fringe, you get into this, leftover stuff down here. I like to put that in there for character. It looks really nice when you're doing like a sleeve like this, and you got this, and sometimes it's got this, fringe to it, this unfinished look to it. I just love putting that in for my sleeves. So let me find my arm pattern here. We're going to see if we can, again, this is wool that I'm working with here. And my wife buys online. She's got a couple places that she likes through Etsy. There's a place called Design in Wool, and that's Designs in Wool. If you're looking that up, they sell a lot of different colors, a lot of different, it is a little bit more expensive than you're going to find with the felt, but it's a nice big piece. It's not just the felt square, so you are getting a little bit more for your money, and you're getting a better quality for it too. I've been working with some of the felt squares that have just been so thin and see-through that I've gotten from some of the craft stores. I don't prefer using that type of thing on my gnomes as much, but so I've cut out my arm pattern. Actually, cut out 2. I've cheated. I've already done 1. And again, you can see how it comes out there. Now this is where, as I said, you can, If you have your regular arms that you use, if you want to do the rollers, if you want to just take your pattern and roll around that because you have an arm that you can bend and move, you can do that. If you want to do just the regular square, the rectangular arm, you can do that. With rectangular arms, in my other designs, they use a 3/4 inch ball. I use a 1 inch ball with these because I do have a wider area here. So let me grab some needle and thread here, and we're going to sew this together here. There's also lots of times when you're working with the wool and working with the felt, fleece, any other material, you'll see a right side and a wrong side. The right side is usually a darker pattern to it. So I put that on the inside because I'm going to be turning it right side out. So we want to get that. And I just start with a stitch through it. And then I just do a line stitch right up. Now, if you wanted to do hot glue, you could do that too. You could put hot glue right along there. This whole thing can be done just with hot glue if you need to. That's the fun thing about my projects. I try to keep it so you can do both either way, or even just a sewing machine. If you're using a sewing machine, just sew along. Make it a seam there. So we're just going to sew up to our top here. And then when I get it done again, I'm going to put just 3 or 4 loops through to tie it off there. I enjoy doing a bit of sewing too. It's relaxing. I don't mind taking the time to do that. We'll cut it off there. So here we have our 2 arms. As I said, turn it right side out. And with this being a larger arm too, it's a little bit easier to poke your fingers through there and do that, or just take something and stab it through there. As I said earlier, with this project, I'm tucking the arms underneath the collar. Gives it a nice look to it there. Now, I am working on a couple here that I'm doing without the collar. And all I've done is on my pattern was just extended up a little bit. Did not take the, I just sort of took the collar part right out just to make a pattern, just a regular coat on that there. Learn the basics, then modify how you'd like. And the only reason I'm doing that is because it was actually material that I had left over, and I didn't have a tall enough piece of material to actually put the top part of the collar into it. So I played with it a little bit and found a way I could still use as a coat, and the hat's going to cover up on top of that. So just to give you an idea, and again, the arms then will have to go underneath the hat for that one there. Now, before I put the arms on, I like to put the beard on. That's my next step. The beard, I can do a couple different things with that too. I'm using 1.5 to 2 inches across as far as the width because I want to cover up here. So about 2 inches in length is going to give you from side to side here. I'm going down just about 1.25 inches in my center part there. I'm cutting off from the back. If you've seen other videos that I've done where we've just cut along the back of the material, not cutting with scissors, I use an X-Acto knife, cut along there. But I got 2 inches across by about 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches down. If I wanted to do something where I have more of a full beard, something that just covers everything, I'll go down a little bit farther, maybe go down to 2 inches and cover down here. But I'd like to have an area, open area here that I could play with. I could put a belt on, I could put some lace on, I could put it, I can make my designs in there. So I got 2 inches across that I'm going to be putting right up above where I have my line right there, basically, of the felt. And just going to glue on the back there. Place my beard, as I said, just above my felt line there. Now, I'm also, if you want to be real careful, I will sometimes trim just a little bit, just this little bit that comes down. If things are looking good right in here, and I want to put stuff in the area, in this area here to cover, I don't want this little fur covering there, but I don't want to trim a lot. I just want to trim just nice and neat there. I'm not a barber, and I don't want to make it look like it's just a straight edge either. But if there's just a couple hanging down there, I will trim just a little bit so I have that area not to cover. I like to brush my fur out a little bit too before I put it on. Sometimes you get these stragglers that are when you cut and everything. So try to keep it nice and neat there a bit. Once I put the beard on, then I'm going to tuck the arms underneath here. Now, I like to have it nice and clean right up to there. Cover, so I'm going to put a little bit of glue just down my top there where the collar, where it folds together. And then once I get my arms tucked up underneath here, I can glue, put just a little bit of glue down there and glue that collar down. Now the hat's going to hold it down a bit too, but just a couple ideas there. And you can see how nice that looks right there. And I'm going to do it with the seam inside. Placing a little bit of glue there. Put my arm just up underneath the collar. Holding it down for a moment and gluing it right in. I like how it puffs out here. Again, if you're using a different arm, if you want to do, that's just a rectangular arm and you want to stuff it, you can do that. I'm not stuffing these. I'm going to be using them usually with different items, accessories, characters that might be coming, that they can attach to. Again, this is a little bit flimsy right now, but once it's attached to something, it's fine. So if you want to use the rollers, if you want to use, the stuffing in there, I recommend you go ahead and do that. Let's put just a little dab inside here, closing the top off there. Glue you down. And put some glue on my arm there. So that's going to give me my arms. I got my beard, my arms, my nice body going on there. Of course, the next thing to do is the hat. Well, this is designed to do with a top hat. And this is a top hat that I've worked with over the last year or so here that I found that I like. I've got several different versions of top hats that I've done. And this one seems to come out real nice. And again, it's taking things from other designs and working with them, because the top hat itself, the base of it is the same as the Woodland Wizards. So some of the things that I do, you'll see that I incorporate the same things over and over again and just modify them just a little bit. So the top hat has the the brim. I've cut it out. It's a little bit larger, of course, than the Woodland Wizards. The Woodland Wizards have this round base there for it. So this is a larger size, just to go with the larger size cone. And I make my cuts into it. Cuts about 3/4 inch, fold it over, and then again cut about 3/4 inch in on it there. So I have this space here, and the reason I have that is because it's going to go over top of my cone. Now you can use my other top hat patterns too. My other top hat patterns have a rim that you take and you sew into it, but I've seemed to like this type pattern just for the snugness, the ease of making it too. So this is the top hat that I've come up with this one here. And with this also, I can do the same colors, or I've used a different color scheme. This is, again, I'm using my wool, and I've decided to come up with something that I can use with my pieces here. My hat is just fold into it. I have 3 inches along here. Now, with the hat, I'm changing this one up just a little bit. The other ones I've done has been a 2-inch on the top here. Now you can change that, and I actually made this one here just 1.5 inches because I wanted to see something a little bit different size, a little smaller there. The other one that I've done over here, he's got the 2-inch also, but on his puppy Diva, I did 1 inch. It's the same hat, but it comes out more of a floppy type hat, and I only did 1 inch on the height there. The width is still the same, it's just the height. I did a variation on that to come up with a different size in the hat. And so likewise, this one, when I cut it out, I did 1.5 inches rather than my 2 inches on the top there. And I'm looking, like I said, I put the darker side inside, so when I turn it right side out, it's gonna come. And I could use all the same color if I wanted. If I wanted to do it all in the same red. Here I wanted to just give it a little bit more of a green and red color to it, just for fun. Let me grab my thread here. And once again, this is something you can do if you wanted to do just your glue gun, glue it right up the side there, you can do that too. We're going to sew it together here. And I've shown a number of my other videos where I do a blanket stitch. Again, I can just do the blanket stitch right up the side. There's not much here to do. Or just do the straight line stitch to it. Pull it through. I open it up and I attach the top to it. Nothing fancy, just put it right through there. I start where the seam is on there. And then again, for time's sake, I'm going to just do a straight line stitch. And I like to have thread that matches color-wise. Here I wasn't quite sure since I had the red and the green. So I went ahead with the red. And decided even if the red stitching did show, it would give it character. Either I could have that, or I could have the green showing a little bit. Can also use more of embroidery thread too if I wanted to have it show a little bit more. I might do that for some too. Also can do that with the embroidery thread as a blanket stitch. And if I did a blanket stitch, leaving it on the outside, not flipping it, turning it right side out, that gives it a couple more different characters. Because some of my stuff you'll see that I have done the blanket stitch on it, just to add some more detail to it. And try to give you some ideas, just some simple ideas that once you've known the basics, once you get down how to put things together, there's just those simple little things that you add to it that really attract the eye, that get people to think, wow, you put a little bit more time into it. And it adds the fun too. Once you start learning how to do little stuff like that, even just doing the different colors here, just taking it and doing the reds, the greens, to me that adds a lot of little extra to the gnome character. Let me make it all the way around here. Again, I just like to put it through to make sure I have it good there. Now with the top of the hat too, turn it right side out. I've made it a little bit smaller. Now when I'm doing the 2-inch ones, I definitely put just a little bit of stuffing up in there. I'm not sure about doing it with like the 1 1/4 here, 1/2. I can do, it's going to come to almost the top of the cone there when I do that. So I may not need some stuffing with that. And you might even try that as a hat too. Doing a female gnome. I do very little female gnomes, but I have done a couple where I've done a hat similar to this without even a brim. So just to give you an idea there too, another different style of hat put on there. As I said, you don't always have to do everything the same. So here I'm going to attach the brim. Attaching the brim, I usually have a little bit longer side, front and back. And I'll put the seam towards the back. I'll put it in the middle. I'll make sure I'm covering up my X there. And again, I'm going to grab some thread here. And I start from the bottom, that way my knot doesn't show. And put it a couple times through the seam area there. Come up. I'm going to, like I said, make sure I'm centered here. And then again, we're just going to stitch around. If it gets sort of tucked together, that's fine too, because it's just more of a floppy hat to it. So even if I do pull it a little bit tighter at times and it's a little bit floppier, that's fine too. I like the character coming with this hat. So I love the color that this is coming to. I didn't know, how this would turn out. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll take something, and if I think it's going to be a little bit too wild or a little bit over the top, I'm going to try it just to see if I can do something different. I tried with this to make it into a cowboy hat, and I did something like you saw earlier with the one with the stitching in it that looks kind of like it, but I wanted to try something a little bit more, and it still didn't work out. But that's fine. Tried it on something else. I made sure I used more just the felt squares, little things. I wasn't going to use my good wool, but tried for, took a little bit of time to just play with it. But that's what you do. You make something, you try it. The fun part with my gnome there with, I call him Vane and Diva, the dog. I was just playing around and making the hats, trying to make different sizes. And while I was sitting here, just put it on top of the dog, and it just went perfectly. The dog, I get a lot of questions on him. He's actually a clearance item I found in a bin, bottom of a bin at a Joann store here 3 months after Christmas. So he was just tossed in there. So I bought him for like $2, cleaned him up, and just incorporated him in. And that's the great thing, just go through, find what you can and play with them and make little things out of the things that are left over. Uh, Poor little guy, I felt like he was just a lost puppy left in the bin. And now I wish I would have found a whole bunch of them. Hopefully I can find more characters. But it's just the playing with that. As I said, the hat really wasn't his hat to begin with, but while sitting here making something else, just threw the hat on him and it worked. Again, we're just going to tie this off. This is going to be underneath, so it's not going to show. So there, got my nice floppy hat. We're going to put on my character here. Now what I'll do, and I'm going to save some time because I've shown this in videos and everything, but I want to show you the finalized type thing. His hat's going to come down just to the top here. I try to put the seam in the back, and we're going to we glue just above the top right there. So I will glue that down. Then while that dries, here's where I put the 1-inch balls. As I said before, I use 3/4 inch for the smaller ones. But I'll use a 1-inch ball. These are wood balls. I actually get these from Hobby Lobby. I have found that Temu actually carries them too, looking at the same price, or you can get discounted through them too. They always have so many deals. But with this, the opening is larger than the ball, obviously. But I'm just going to glue nice little stream glue across there. Get my glue gun there. There you go. Just a line across the top there. So I got about half the ball glued in the sleeve. The sleeve hangs down on there. Now, if I really wanted to, I could close that off, glue that together, just sort of pinch that and glue it. But this works fine for me. I like the idea. I like the design. I like the way the curve comes to that. Gives me that. I'll do that. And then once I get those in, I go back and I'll glue the hat down. And again, the hat I'm going to glue right along the top there. Bring that down. I like, again, how I cut the X shape in there. That gives it a snugness to it. The other hat, the other top hat, sometimes I would have to bring it down a little bit more or work with it. This gives it just a nice tug, nice snug look to it. So I'm able to glue right across there. And then again, I'll take my 1-inch ball and glue, find a nice spot on the ball there, and glue that on there. I'm just showing you the basics, how to do it and everything, just trying to give you some character there. Again, I like the look of the hat there because we got the 1.5 inch versus the 2-inch on the size of the hat there, so it brought it down a little bit. The next thing I got left here to do is the shoes. Because I have a coat, it's not going to sit quite properly, so I do need to put shoes or feet on there. Now with this, I've stuck with the Dollar Tree party shoes. the party favor shoes. We've been doing these for years. That's the party favor, the baby shower favor shoes. So I've stuck with doing that on these ones here and kept it simple to begin with. Now you can add things to it. Let me show you real quick how I've put those together. And I've done this on other videos too, where I'll take my 9 by 12 piece of felt, fold it over, and I'm just using a piece as a template here. I've already cut it out for my shoes here, but I'm going to use it as a template. This is 2 inches wide, and the length of it there, so it's going to be 6 inches across there. And we'll cut it out. As I said, I folded it over and then cut that in half. And that'll give me my 2 pieces for the shoes. Now the base of the shoe, grab a shoe out of here. I simply just put the shoe down on a piece of felt, leftover felt, and just cut around it. Now I wanted to make it just a little bit larger. I'm just going to trim it once I get it glued on there. So that was just leftover felt I used. Cut around it to make a template. Doesn't have to be perfect to start out with. Just so I have something that goes underneath. And then once I glue it on, I cut around it. I fill the base with kitty litter, and also the top with kitty litter once I get it all glued here. The reason I want to show you this here, and a lot of times I skip over this when I'm doing videos because I've got other videos doing this, because I've learned over time how to do something a little bit different. I've always started with putting the seam back here, and it finally hit me after doing that for so long that I don't like the seam showing up in the back. Why not put it on the inside? The shoes go together, but I don't have a seam showing anymore. My seam is tucked inside of the shoes there. Little trick I've learned. I don't know if anybody else is teaching it that way or not. I haven't seen videos on it in a while, but it took me a long time to get that idea and to learn it and just realize, hey, I don't have to have a seam showing in the back of my shoe. So if you learn anything, and those who are doing with the shoes, if you're still doing it my old way, give this a try. We're just going to start about a third of the way on the side of the shoe. And I go towards the front to start out with. I like to have my little tuck facing towards the front when I get around to it. And so we glue the bottom of the shoe there. And what I'm doing is lining up that up with the bottom of the shoe there as I come around. Glue that. Now, here again, we cover a little bit here. I'm fine with this. Either I can leave this here and have a little extra, or I can just trim. It's just about 1/8 of an inch there. There's a little bit extra there to cover. Doesn't matter. My seam's not going to show now because I've put it on the inside. And now this is just how I'm making the shoes for this. If you're got your own way of doing shoes. If you're using the toilet paper, if you know, the rolls, if you're using the eggshells, that's fine. Do how you do shoes. I tuck that in there, bend those over, and with a little bit of glue inside there, I roll that right in. So now I got my seam in there. My base, like I said, I'm going to fill that with kitty litter, run glue around the edge, glue that down. That gives it weight, and then trim. Just trim around the outside there, which I've already done with a couple here just to speed it along. And then I fill the inside there with kitty litter. So I got my seam on the inside. Now, of course, you have to make sure you do a right and a left, actually. So your seams come together so you don't have the seam all on the same side there. Now, I know these are dark black, so it's hard to see there type of thing, but I don't have a seam in the back now. And what I do, I'll put just a light line of glue there, gluing my shoes together. Again, I'm just looking for stability. I'm looking to have the weight on the bottom so that the gnome does stand up. Now, for those who like to have legs, we could actually do that, get dowel rods and put the dowels in here before I put anything else in there. Get whatever size, pencil size if you want. I've seen people do that with pencils. And then you can also stab them right up into the base of the gnome. So you have the base here, and you're going to be stabbing them up into there. So we could have some legs that come down here. So he's actually up a little ways too. Here with these guys right now, I'm just going to put right into it. And as I said, I fill that with kitty litter. You can use little pebbles, whatever you like, pellets, put in there. I do that to give it weight. And then I coat that with the hot glue. Making sure I keep my kitty litter in there. And it also gives it a base to attach it. Now I wasn't thinking ahead of time what color I wanted to go with this guy, so we're just going to go with what I just made here, the black, and probably put some sort of trim into it. Because now he's got the black shoes there, and now I'll probably I could do like some red laces, or I can do some red trim around here. But this is going to glue his feet on there. This is going to give him the basics there. I could do pockets. I like doing little pockets. They're just little V-shaped, little rounded, half round or V-shaped that I can do as far as pockets on here. All sorts of fun little things here that we can do to accessorize him. Again, I just wanted to show you the basics, show you that there is a simple pattern that you can do to make and put this together. I like how it's using the cones that you can get easily. So this is a larger one. This is going on the 6-inch cone there versus the 4-inch cone that we have with this little guy whose hair is out of place. But we put it together there, and from here on, this is where you just add the accessories. Like I said, I'll put the nose, the hand on there, finish him off there, and this is where you can play from there. I like to show the basics, and then you accessorize. Do how you would like to do, put together your gnome together. Just wanted to give you that as an idea, show you that, the different ways that you can put together and simply do that. And love to see how you do, how you create, how you put things together too. And thank you for watching.